Have you ever felt like there are these underlying patterns in your life? Rhythms and cycles that you can't quite put your finger on? Well, today, we're diving into an ancient system that's designed to do just that. This is your introduction to BaZi, which is basically the language of energy.
All right, so let's start with a really simple, grounded idea. We all see patterns in nature, right? The sun comes up, the seasons change. These are predictable cycles we literally build our lives around. And that's the most basic way of understanding the flow of energy that's all around us.
Okay, so if we can predict the seasons, what about the seasons of our own lives, the more complex ones? What if there was a way to actually map the specific energetic quality of any given moment, and from that, understand the forces that are shaping our own path? That's really the big question that BaZi tries to answer.
So what is BaZi exactly? Well, the name literally translates to 8 characters. It's this ancient system that's based on just meticulous observation of the natural world. Think of it as a way of mapping the energetic blueprint of a moment, like the moment of your birth, to understand how we as humans fit into the grand scheme of nature, always looking for that sweet spot of balance and harmony.
Now, to get how this whole language works, we have to start with its most basic grammar. I'm talking about the foundational principles that everything else is built on. So let's take a look at these cosmic building blocks.
It all kicks off with a primal split. The ancients saw the universe as this dance between two opposing yet totally complementary forces. First, you've got Yang. Yang is heaven. It's expansive, stable, and it moves outward. Then you have Yin, which represents Earth. It's always changing, it's influenced by other forces, and its focus is inward.
So what happens when these two forces, yin and yang, come together? It's not static. It's this dynamic spark of life. It creates a moment of pure potential, something called taiji. You can think of it as this single point in time and space that holds the blueprint for absolutely everything that's going to unfold from it.
From that initial spark, the energy starts to move and change and get more specific. This is where the wuxing, or the 5 elements, come in. But the word elements is actually a little misleading. The character sing really means to walk. So it's much better to think of them as the 5 movements or the 5 transformations. These are dynamic processes, not just static things.
And these movements, they interact in really predictable cycles. First up is the creation cycle, which is all about nurturing its support. It tells a pretty simple story, really. Wood gives fuel to fire. Fire burns down and creates ash, which becomes earth. Deep inside the earth, metal ores are formed. When metal surfaces get cold, they attract condensation, creating water. And of course, water nourishes wood. See, it comes full circle.
But, constant creation with no checks and balances, that would lead to chaos. So there's also a control cycle. This is what provides the necessary regulation. Water douses fire, fire is hot enough to melt metal, a metal axe can cut through wood, the roots of a tree can break up the earth, and earth, well, it can absorb or dam up water. Each element keeps another one in line.
And this gets to the absolute core of the whole thing. The system is always looking for balance. The source material puts it perfectly. Think of it like a car. You need the engine's combustion. That's your creation cycle. But you also absolutely need an exhaust system to get rid of the waste, and that's your control cycle. It's just a natural rule for any system that actually works.
Okay, so we've got the basic grammar down. Yin, yang, and the 5 movements. Now, to really understand the nuance of that balance we were just talking about, we need to learn the alphabet. These are the specific qualities of energy we use to read the chart.
So to get a more detailed picture, those 5 core movements are refined even further into 10 primary energetic expressions.
So how do we get from 5 to 10? Well, it's pretty simple. You take each of those 5 elements we talked about, wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, and you apply that yin and yang polarity to them. This creates a much more nuanced palette of 10 distinct energies, and these are known as the 10 heavenly stems.
And each of these stems has its own unique quality, its own personality, often explained with a cool metaphor. For example, take wood. Yang wood, called jia, is like a massive, towering tree, super strong, direct. But yen wood, yi, is more like a flexible vine or blades of grass. It's adaptable, it's resilient. So understanding if you're more like that sturdy tree or that flexible vine can tell you a lot about how you naturally handle life.
So we have the types of energy. Those are the stems. Now we need to see how they actually show up in the real world through the cycles of time. And this brings us to the earthly branches, which are all about the rhythm of time.
And this is where the 12 earthly branches come into play.
Now, you probably know them as the 12 animals of the Chinese zodiac, right? Well, in BaZi, they represent the flow of time, the seasons, the months, even the hours of the day. They're what connect that heavenly energy of the stems down to the tangible reality here on Earth.
And you can see this beautiful, clear pattern here. The energy of the seasons lines up perfectly with the elements. Spring is the season of wood energy, and that's represented by the tiger, rabbit, and dragon. Then comes fiery summer, then metally autumn, and finally watery winter. It's this gorgeous, logical flow of energy through the entire year.
Okay, we now have all the pieces of the puzzle. We've got the stems, which are the what, and we've got the branches, which are the when. So now let's finally see how they all come together to create an actual BaZi chart.
So a heavenly stem gets paired with an earthly branch, and together they create what's called a pillar. And since we look at the year, the month, the day, and the hour of a specific moment, we get 4 pillars. Each pillar has 2 characters, which gives us the BaZi, the 8 characters. See? Makes sense?
And this is what that structure looks like. You've got 4 columns, one for the year, month, day, and hour. The top row is where the heavenly stems go. Those are the visible heavenly influences. And the bottom row is for the earthly branches. That's the hidden earthly context for everything.
Now, each pillar governs a totally different part of your life. The year pillar talks about your roots, your ancestors, your early life. The month pillar is all about your career and environment. The hour pillar points to your future, your aspirations. But the most important one, the real star of the show, is the day pillar. That represents you, the self, the now, your core identity in this whole energetic map.
And honestly, this is the most crucial thing to remember. BaZi is not about fortune-telling or predicting some fixed, unchangeable destiny. No way. The real goal here is self-awareness. It's about understanding your unique energetic strengths and weaknesses so that you can make conscious choices, navigate challenges better, and just find more balance and harmony in your life.
So the real question isn't whether these patterns exist, but what we do once we can actually see them. If you had a map of your own energy, your own personal seasons of growth and challenge, how would you navigate your life differently? What kind of new possibilities would you open up for yourself?